KUGAN, CASSIUS, what?
What are you saying? You've been hounding me all afternoon. It's I have a funny feeling you're going to try and set me up with a little something. You maybe stand in front of the light like I'm being interrogated. So bring it on. What are you saying?
You let me ask anything.
Anything you want. No, it wasn't me.
What, the story in the paper?
Yeah.
That isn't you.
Of course it wasn't me.
Ah, I told 8
Three
people
things
that
that
was
gave
you.
it away. One, all right, then the problem was not paying. Could have been. Number two, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. What else is there? And I just wouldn't do anything like that. That's just wrong. What you say?
It's not you.
No, it's not me. Why would you ask that?
Do you know what? I was in two minds because I think one of the quotes was
What?
it was a former very talented fighter, and I thought
Legend is the word you're looking for. That's another thing. It wasn't me. Don't be stupid. You're just being facetious.
Are you sure?
I'd know if it was me or not.
Okay, fair enough.
Plus I'd have one leg and a knife in my forehead from a wife.
I'll be very disappointed in you.
Come on.
In fact, if that was you, I don't even think I could turn this camera. In fact, I'm going to just turn it off now.
So that's that addressed. I know there's number one coming. What is it?
No, I mean.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about today.
Yeah.
Can you stop?
No, sorry. Come on.
What are you looking at?
Free food.
Maurice. Dillon Whyte joining Matchroom. Good for both camps?
Good. Of course it is. Listen, villains always make the most amount of dough. Villains are the ones that the public love to hate. I think Dillon Whyte makes an excellent villain, and this is for real. He's the kind of guy where when he boxed Anthony Joshua, you know, it's you saw the good and the bad, and he was just being himself. He's actually, once you get past all that, he's actually a cool guy. He's all right. Talks from the heart. Sometimes he needs to keep that in check. Don't let his emotions get involved. And he's young. He was young, good then. But I think he's learned from how he conducted himself in the build-up to the Joshua fight. I don't think that's changed at all. I do think he'll put it on a lot of the domestic heavyweights. And if they don't get him, if they're not used to dealing with somebody as raw as Dillon, he will do a Tyson, intimidate him before they even get in the ring. I hear stories about that happening with other heavyweights out there. Your Chizoras, your Dave Allens, and I'm quite sure there's other fighters out there that think, you know what, this guy's for real. I don't want to really rant with him unless I have to fight him. But there's potentially a lot of good domestic and European fights and world title fights for Dillon, but he's just got to get himself up there in regards to experience, in regards to obviously you do experience, you get the wisdom, and I think he can get there.
But there's so many fights that can be possibly made, and quite easy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you needed?
Yes, I am needed.
What now?
Yeah.
Why are we going on? How long you got?
We've got 2 minutes. They're just waiting for me.
We're literally about to go on.
Oh.
I can wait. We'll finish that bit off.
Just stand in that position for about 10 minutes.
Back with Johnny Nelson. You had to go and do your Sky thing.
Sorry, man. I got to pay the bills.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
You got to do your thing.
We've got 2 cameras. I don't realise
Yeah,
levels.
but they need you.
We're up in levels.
You're going to get the sack.
What? I'll sack myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Dillon Whyte, can you inevitably see the Joshua rematch? With,
Yeah, I can.
Especially with
as
the
long as he
match now?
keeps winning and keeps improving, I think you just got to look at the numbers. You've got to look at the people that were talking about this fight. You've got to look at how big it was. You've got to look at the drama around it. And you've got to look at one thing for sure, that the feeling between them, it was for real. It wasn't an act. These guys are still not friends. These guys are still haven't kissed and made up. These guys still dislike each other and still want to fight each other. So even him boxing on the undercard, Anthony Joshua will bother it. Even then, you'll have to keep these guys apart. And just watch it the way and watch it the build up to it. You know, Dillon will still be dogging Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua will think, you know what, I've done you once, I'll do you again. So this, to me, is a great way to start fueling it again. As long as Dillon keeps winning, as long as Dillon keeps climbing that ladder and puts himself legitimately in that position, Dillon and Anthony Joshua can happen again.
Groves Murray. This is the second part of today. It's a great chief support for.
It's an intriguing one because
June
people within boxing are thinking, what has George got left? George should shut Murray out. He should. If George is the George that boxed Carl Froch the first time, or that kind of George around that level. If he slipped at all, I can see Martin Murray trying to hustle and bustle and fighting and muscle his way through for a win. So it's a case of what has George got left and how good Martin Murray can be at the weight. So again, it's an intriguing one. not just the people that are in boxing, for the general public that are fans of George Grove, that are fans of Martin Murray, to see what level these boys are, and potentially, is a world champion within them.
Do you believe that the winner of this fight kind of goes on possibly securing himself a world title shot at some point, and then the loser?
A secured position for a world title fight is not a done deal, for the winner of this, because they've still got to fight their way into a position. For the loser, to me, it says this is as far as you're going, because I think this is the gateway to European and world level. If you don't succeed there, you're scrapping at domestic level, and there's nothing wrong with scrapping at domestic level. What I'm saying is, it just still shows both guys have boxed world titles, both guys have been at the top of the hill. Have they got the pride to swallow and think, I want to play at domestic level, or I've got ambitions to box at world level?
When they've got 6 world title fights between them and not one win there, so.
There isn't, and that's why I'm saying it's most important for the winner and the loser. It could be the end of the road for the loser. For the winner, there's still a dream that he can kid and con himself with and think I can still potentially be world champion.
Moving off subject now, what have you made of this whole Blackwell Eubanks situation that seems to have arisen, obviously with Nick Blackwell giving his first interview after what happened?
I'm surprised because, listen, both fighters are involved in the fight. Both fighters have an opinion. Blackwell saying as far as I know, he's saying he didn't want this kind of publicity on it. And these guys are milking what happened to him. Obviously, it seems as though there still is some bitterness there. And obviously, if I was Nick Blackwell, it's the end of his career. What happened there? Nick Blackwell has his reasons for saying what he said. Whatever's been discussed between the two of them, and Eubank Jr. is saying, look, this is what happened. This is how dangerous the sport can be. He has a right to say. He can say what he wants. He's not gloating over what happened to Nick Blackwell. He's saying, look, this is the facts. I think I'm this good. This can possibly happen. So I've got to make sure it doesn't happen to me. Nick Blackwell's trying to give the impression as though he's trying to glorify that, to say, look, this is how bad I am. This is how much of a badass fight I am. This is what I can do to somebody. I don't think it's that way. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what the point is. This is something these guys should have a conversation off camera with. So I don't understand the whole point.
I think Eubank Jr. is conducting himself in good fashion since what happened in his comments.
It's what everybody's going to talk about, because it was a serious situation.
Should they have had the press conference the 2 days after, when the family and Mick Hennessy and his team expressed a specific wish not for that to take place?
Well, remember, if you was Eubank Jr., you'd feel guilty, you'd feel scared, you'd feel pressure, because you don't know what the backlash is going to be. So you'd want to defend yourself and say, look, I wasn't gloating. It's not like I don't care what happened to him. So you'd want to say, look, I'm not the villain here. I care about this guy. And I think for them to have a press conference afterwards, they were right to do that, because he wanted to say, look, I'm just like you. I'm just as concerned as you. Up to that point, he never really had a chance to express that, to tell the public, look, I'm as bothered as you guys are. So I think, yes, he did have a right to express what he had to say. He wasn't gloating. He wasn't glorifying himself. And so, yeah, I do think he had a right. Nick, obviously, and his team didn't think so, but it's a matter of opinion. Both fighters are involved, so both fighters have got something to say about it.
But I mean, hopefully this will just get a line drawn underneath it at some point, and just.
Of course it will. Listen, it's the headline news this week. It's got people talking. It's got opinions divided. Boxing is a direct sport where if you hit the point of the fight is to take the other fighter out of there or beat him on points, and it'll make a few headlines. It'll make a bit of a conversation, but I do think it's not going anywhere. A point has been made. Nick Black wasn't happy. Eubank is trying to justify why he said what he said. Job's done, story's done. And of course, we all are concerned for Finnick Blackwell's welfare as well, for the future. And a lot of money was raised to try and help that as well. It's not that nobody cares, they do, but everybody has a right of an opinion.
Finally, a lot of criticism about David Haye's opponent from the weekend. What did you make of it?
Well, I think David Haye, it's hard for David, because if David is world championship level, therefore he made a job very easy. He beat an unbeaten fight and made the job look very easy. So you can't knock him for how easy he made the job look. You can't knock him for how his opponent performed. David's second comeback fight for him to get warmed up into stepping up those levels now. Next one, they're talking about Shannon Briggs. I think it's a good way to slowly but surely get you in. Look at Anthony Joshua. The fighters he had, people were complaining about them because he was turning them over so easily. Frank Bruno had the same thing. David Haye's just turning them over pretty easy. So therefore, they're slanging the opponent down. He's got to get that. He's got to go through shaking the cobwebs off to get to the level of stepping up a level of opponent.
But ultimately, I think, no one really knew a lot about Arnold Jajai, 29-0, but level of opposition was questionable, and David Haye seems not just above that, but quite a way above that.
It seems, and his credentials tell us that. But what I'm saying is, this is his second fight in 3-4 years. Right, so he's gotta dip his toe in the water to think, right, now I'm ready. Now I've tried that, I've trained on this, I've worked on that. You can't throw him in deep water straight away. His next step is fighting a former world title contender, as in Shannon Briggs. I think it's a decent fight for David, for him to say, right, now I can step it up, because he's not really shown us anything, has it? He's not really shown us, right.
Anything we didn't already know.
That's right. So therefore, he's got to warm himself in to say, right, this is what we're going to do, and he's making a bit of dough at the same time and getting the fan base back on board again. I think he's doing it the right way. You cannot knock him for the way his opponent performed. He was unbeaten on paper. He looked the part. So David just got his job done, and I think it's a steady step he needed to make.
We got to get back in this press conference.
You're going to get sacked because you're missing the main one for me.
No, I've got my man.
Oh, you got staff now?
Is that my stuff?
Mother of God.
Have you got anything else you want to add?
Nothing.
Do you want to admit to anything? What? Do you want to admit to anything? Listen, this ain't going out. So you want to admit to anything?
Listen, why? I know what you're alluding to. No, it's not to do with me. I'm like ex-altar boy, man. Why would you say stuff like that?
I didn't. I give you an opportunity.
I know what that's like. Do you want to? Yeah, I know what that means.
No, but I won't put it out if you want to just.
All right then. All right, we'll switch it off and we'll talk.
All right. Beep.